Wednesday morning. Eleanor Ray Ryan. Yeah. The only problem is I have to travel about 6,000 miles to see her. They're in Brussels, Belgium. And then one more dollar to thank everybody for the scholarship. We're picking our scholarship winners right after this meeting today. So thanks for everybody that was involved, and we're going to have the winners announced very soon.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Does everybody know what pro team he played for in the NFL?
Broncos.
There you go. All right. Let's see. What do we got over here? Yeah. All right.
I am happy because I want to give a shout out to Mr. Jay Galbraith, who has been a champion for Ravenwood High School in our capital planning and helping boosters raise money so that our taxpayers don't have to pay as much money, and also advocating for the taxpayer money that has been collected is actually being translated into a better school program. So thank you very much.
All right. Let's give him a hand. Yes. Laurie.
I'm happy because my friend Mary Kate Brown is running for the chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party. Unfortunately, the caucus is next Saturday morning, so we have to kind of work in a lot of stuff that's going on next week. But she's really good, and I hope you'll consider thinking about her when you vote.
Thank you. Hunter, you want to tell everybody about the Vanderbilt basketball announcement? Yes. I'll just take your money. Stackhouse. Jerry Stackhouse, the new Vanderbilt basketball coach. Okay, who? Oh, Charles. Got you covered, man.
Charles is going to write you an IOU.
Charles is a Vanderbilt grad.
You're getting it via PayPal. Deal with it. One of the things I love about Rotary Club is I get to run out in the community and see all of you, and I had a fun Rotary sighting. It was actually Rodney, it's kind of a Rotary sighting. Your son-in-law, I just thought you should know that I was over at the country club watching my little girl golf at 5 o'clock on Tuesday in the bar. And that's where your son-in-law
watched her golf
was.
from the bar?
So, yeah, I watched her from the bar, So I just want you to know your son-in-law, Friday, Tuesday afternoon at 5 o'clock, that's where you can find him.
Perfect. Mr. President.
My $1 for the David Lipscomb Bisons and the wonderful. I already got a microphone. They give me one. It comes with the job. On a wonderful season they had this year in basketball, so congratulations to them.
Wonderful season.
Yep. This close.
All right. Larry, War Eagle.
So Virginia has an awful good basketball team. Awful good basketball team. Auburn has an even better basketball team. War Eagle.
Ooh, I don't know about that. But yes, sir. Everybody give Don a hand. Stand up. Give him another hand. All right. Tim, you got $1? Okay. All right. Have I got everybody? Scott? Where's Scott? There you are. You got $1? Tell everybody where you went to school.
Texas A&M.
Gig 'em. That's it.
Thank you, Alan. All right. I will turn it over to Charles to introduce our program.
Paying my happy bucks here.
We'll wait while Charles pays his happy bucks. If you carried $1 in your pocket, this wouldn't happen.
All right. Done. Happy bucks.
Are you ready now?
I'm now ready. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
Okay. Many people tell me that this is one of their favorite programs of the year, and it certainly is one of my favorite. Once a year for the last 3 years we've done this. I know we did it before. We had a little time off, and then we started up in the last 3 years. Today we get members of the Brentwood High Speech and Debate Club to come and give us 4 to 6 minute presentations on how the four-way test impacts public policy or a personal issue, whatever they like. They're welcome to talk about whatever they like. So we've selected 4 judges. Don't raise your hands, judges. We want you to be a secret, so they have to play to the whole room. But we got 4 judges out there who have the grading rubrics, and we'll judge our 4 competitors. Cash prizes are out there. The winner today is going to get $100. Second place is getting 75. Okay, good. I thought that was it. I didn't want to say it and then disappoint, Second place is getting 75, and third place is getting 25. The winner of that will go on to district semifinals and then ultimately the district finals. The winner of the district finals gets $1,000. So there's good money. A couple years ago, we had one down who was in district finals, and she got like second place, right? So close. So it should not be a surprise that the Brentwood winner would go on to be competitive at the next level. The Brentwood speech and debate team is amazing. They win virtually everything. It's pretty much always in the finals between Brentwood and, as you can imagine, come on, Ravenwood, exactly. I'm sure Franklin has a good showing. Our community is very strong in speech and debate, and you're about to find out why. Before we get the competitors up here, I do want to introduce Matt Grimes. Matt Grimes, stand up and wave. Hi, Matt. There we go. Matt. Matt has been, he was a competitor at, you went to Brentwood High, yeah, and he was on the debate team when he was a student. He's been helping out Miss Medlin, the longtime head coach of the team, for about 7 years. He became the head coach of the team this year, and undoubtedly we will have many great years under Mr. Grimes. So thank you very much for what you do. All right. You ready to have some fun? All right. Excellent. So we randomly drew sugar packets beforehand to determine who would go first. We had 4 colors of sugar packets, so we were able to do this. You were first, right? Okay. So our first competitor is Anna Sullivan. Come on up, Anna Sullivan. Do you have a mic for Anna? A mic? A mic? There we go.
It's up already. It should be.
Working? No. Now is it working?
Yeah.
All right.
Begin anytime.
In one of the most well-known episodes of what is unquestionably the greatest American television show of all time, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob and Patrick run around Bikini Bottom setting literally everything in sight on fire. Afterwards, SpongeBob turns to his friend and says, "We did it, Patrick. We saved the city." This is exactly what is happening with mass incarceration in America today. We think we're saving the city when, in fact, we're destroying it. We send people to prison to be punished and to be provided corrections. But since 1970, our prison population has increased 700%. And with the United States now housing 25% of the world's total prisoners and having the highest incarceration rate in the world, it is evident that America's prison system impacts a considerable amount of people. Furthermore, mass incarceration is a hot-button topic in American politics, making its effects on this country's criminal justice system even more significant. With this in mind, let us look at the Rotary 4-way test and see how American mass incarceration stacks up. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? First, is mass incarceration true? In the United States today, incarceration is one of the most common forms of punishment and rehabilitation for the commission of felonies and other offenses. 2.3 million Americans are currently incarcerated. For these 2.3 million Americans and their families, incarceration is a part of life. For these Americans, mass incarceration is definitely the truth. But is mass incarceration fair to all concerned? Justice is the issue here. Is mass incarceration just and equal? The answer is a resounding no. Mass incarceration is not fair for anybody. For instance, our prisons do not meet international standards. Solitary confinement heightens instability and violence among inmates. In America, solitary confinement is not regulated by anybody except prison officials. One of the harshest and most controversial of practices in America is not regulated or overseen by a judge or a jury. But even for normal citizens, mass incarceration is a burden. The exorbitant financial costs of mass incarceration in America mean that it costs $182 billion annually, amounting to approximately $31,000 per prisoner per year. But even still, some prisons are underfunded, leading to overcrowding in almost 40% of states. The inequalities here are massive, and as a result of these injustices, mass incarceration is not fair to all concerned. Does mass incarceration build goodwill and better friendships? Once again, the answer is no. An essential goal of correctional facilities in America is to provide corrections, but this rehabilitation aspect is often not the reality. Many Americans struggle to find jobs in the 21st century, but having a conviction means this process is intentionally more difficult for you. Additionally, convicts are not eligible for social welfare programs, student loans, public housing, or food stamps. This social disconnect makes it difficult for prisoners to turn their lives around outside the system. As a result, recidivism rates are high, with 68% of released prisoners reoffending in the 3 years following their release. In this way, mass incarceration does not build goodwill and better friendships, instead making it difficult for prisoners to re-enter society and often resulting in a cycle of reoffenses and reconvictions. Finally, does mass incarceration benefit all concerned? The privatization and commercialization of the American prison system means that many of our prisons are run by for-profit companies. And unless you are a part of one of these companies, mass incarceration is not benefiting you. In fact, mass incarceration hurts everybody else involved, from the prisoners who experience issues firsthand to the taxpayers who fund the process itself. In no way, shape, or form does mass incarceration benefit everyone involved. At the end of the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick realize that maybe setting the city on fire is not the way to save it. America needs to come to the same conclusion on mass incarceration. While mass incarceration is the truth, it does not benefit all concerned. It does not build goodwill and better friendships, and it does not benefit all concerned. It fails the Rotary four-way test. Criminal justice reform in this day and age is a necessity, and until something is done about it, Americans will continue to suffer from the issues of mass incarceration. Thank you.
Okay, our second speaker, Rohan Gupta.
Hi, my name is Rohan Gupta. I'm a junior at Brentwood High School, and outside of school, I enjoy playing tennis, and I debate in the national circuit. And if debates taught me one thing, it's that I go up there every weekend and I give speeches on the systemic evils of multinational corporations and how overbearing governments are costing Americans their humanity. And I found that I don't have any personal connection to these speeches, but what I do have a personal connection to is stories, and I love telling stories. So I want to tell you a story about how I've used the four-way test for the past 11 years in my relationship with my little brother Yash. Yash was born on June 29th, 2007, and as far as babies go, he wasn't particularly remarkable. What was remarkable, though, was the amount of time I spent waiting in hospital rooms, and so when he was finally born, I was kind of proud of all the effort that I put in finally paying off. But I think the most remarkable aspect of that entire journey was when I first got to hold him. There's this little white wailing bundle in my arms, and the thing that you think is that this is the most precious thing I'll ever hold. And in that sense, it's pretty remarkable. And Yash is a really, really smart kid. He's grown to be great at math. He loves history, and that's something that we both share. But a couple years ago, Yash was diagnosed with a conversational impediment, which basically means that he has a hard time understanding non-literal language and idioms. So it makes conversing with him a little more difficult than it is conversing with a person who doesn't have this impediment. And so it takes a lot to hold a conversation. It takes a lot to get your idea across and make sure that he's understanding. And so for the past couple of years, I've really had, it's been a struggle for me, that I've had to take the time out of my day to explain these things to him. And so I'd like to apply the four-way test to what I've been doing with my little brother Yash. First, is it the truth? The nature of his impediment makes it so that if I talk confusingly and he asks me a question, that question is going to be carried through the conversation. He's not going to have a clear understanding of what's going on until I answer that question, which makes it imperative that I speak the truth when I talk to him. Because if I don't, and we end that conversation, and he leaves that conversation with the wrong idea of what we talked about, he's not going to be able to fix that himself. he's dependent on me, the person that he's emulating, to solve that problem for him. So it's imperative that I tell the truth, and I think that that's what I've been trying to do for the past 4 years. But then, is it fair to all concerned? If I go up to him and I have an unclear conversation, or I don't give the due respect to him, or I don't give the due time to him, it's not fair to him, and it's not fair to me. Because what I'm doing in that sense is sacrificing my relationship with him. I'm sacrificing the trust that he's put in me to be the custodian of what he knows and what he thinks. And in that sense, it's not fair to him, it's not fair to me. If I'm not truthful, if I'm not thorough in my conversations, I fail that portion of the four-way test. But then, will it build goodwill and better relationships? And I think this one's the easiest part of the four-way test. Because when I take the time to sit with Yash and to actively engage him in conversations and make sure he's understanding what he's talking about and what he's saying, I'm building a much deeper relationship. And in fact, I've seen it pay off. Last night, he comes up to me with his homework. He bypasses my dad entirely. He tells him, this isn't up your alley. He comes, sits next to me on the dinner table, and he asks me, can you help me with my reading homework? And for me, that's beneficial enough. I'm able to help him, but I also get that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach because I know that he's put that trust in me, and we have a much stronger relationship for it. But then will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, an impediment isn't something that goes away. It requires constant nurturing. It requires constant care. It requires me and my family constantly being present in our conversations and making sure that how we talk to him is beneficial for him. But in that sense, let's kind of do a cost-benefit analysis. I do this a ton in debate. In terms of benefits, to him, he gets a more thorough understanding of how the world works. He gets a better understanding of what to do in life, how to purport himself in life, how to live life in general. For me, when I hold a conversation with him patiently and thoroughly, the benefit to me, it's huge. I think that in any case, being able to answer questions precisely and patiently is a huge asset. But then on top of that, I gain the ability to enumerate my thoughts clearly. And that's imperative for any sort of conversation, not just with someone with a speech impediment or someone that you're talking to. In that vein, it's extraordinarily beneficial for me. But then let's look at the costs. All it costs me to have a solid conversation with my little brother is to take a little time out of my day to address the impediment that he has. And I'd argue that the time spent talking to him, the time spent ensuring that he has a stronger understanding of the world isn't really time spent because I enjoy it. And I think if I enjoy it, it's not exactly a cost to me. The fact that I believe it passes the four-way test. And in that sense, there's really no other way I'd want to live my life. There's really no other way I'd want to have a relationship with my little brother. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to give the judges a minute to catch up. I know it is. Sometimes you just want a break to catch up, so I'm going to catch their eyes and see. When you're looking at me, I'll know you're caught up. Okay. Got a vamp here in the middle. Anyone want to? Can I lead a song? You don't want me to lead a song. My children ask me to not sing when I start singing. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much. I see one judge still looking at his or her paper. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's about right. All right, we're going to wait one more minute. When is our state competition is next week, right? Yeah. Did we win last year? Oh, okay. They don't do a team trophy? Did we have a lot of winners? Okay. We can have a lot of winners this year? Are some of them at this table? We ready? That's right. What are we? Do we have some juniors? Juniors, there you go. Make sure to apply for the scholarship next year. All right. We're going to pick one of your classmates right after this. Okay, all right. Now I see all the judges are looking up. Okay, so our third competitor, gosh darn it, I asked her name. It's Neha Muchin. What? Come on up. Neha. I know. I got it before and I couldn't remember. Neha, thank you.
I don't know about you, but I hate going to the doctor's office, especially if I know that I'm going to be given a prescription medication. In fact, it chills me when I go to the pharmacy to know that my parents will have to pay out of pocket even after insurance coverage. Not only that, but pharmaceutical companies are not playing a fair game. In fact, pharmaceutical companies don't really care about your wallet. And thus, this leads us to my four-way process of the Rotary. By applying the four-way Rotary test, we as individuals can decipher between what is at hand and the solutions. So first, is it the truth? Yes. According to the Healthcare Cost Initiative, the price of insulin doubled between 2012 and 2016. Not to mention that the price of Lantus and insulin made by Sanofi increased by 49% in 2014 alone. According to these initiatives, it must be imperative that we take proper stance on what pharmaceutical companies are doing. It is true that if these prices were lower, then we would not have to worry about the financial burden that is placed on our families and relatives that are battling these critical diseases. It is also true that we live amongst a money-making society whose goal is to only see money and dollar signs everywhere we turn. Next, is it fair to all those concerned? Perhaps. Like everything, there are two sides to every coin. Big pharma say that this is fair game, but we as patients understand that this is not fair practice at all. Humanities and Health states that we, on an average person, takes about 40,000 pills in their lifetime. If you take a monthly prescription, you pay about $10 out of pocket every month. Put that into perspective, of your whole lifetime, that's $15,000 out of pocket after insurance. If that doesn't suit you, that's a brand new Nissan Versa 2019, all cash. In 2015, the U.S. spent $325 billion on retail prescription medications. So why don't we just reduce these prices? Simply because it's not fair to pharmacies and these companies who are dedicating their time, their efforts, and their money into providing for these natural cures or these proven cures for us to have a better life. But it also isn't fair that we have to pay thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars out of our pocket even after insurance. It is fair for there to be a leveling ground. According to Gerard Anderson, a professor of policy, health, and management at Johns Hopkins University, he states that these high prices on existing drugs not only benefit drug management or drug makers, but also the insurers who are benefiting off of these high-priced drugs. Not only that, but the average large company in a pharmaceutical industry makes about 17% and puts that 17% only in research and development. Only 17% out of their total costs. Realize that the profit margin for them is only 18%, thus leaving them with lots of wiggle room for them to lower the prices for us. It is not fair for us to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars even after insurance. Thus, it is fair for there to be a leveling ground. Because of this, we have a couple of solutions on hand. First, it is important that the Medicare industry and programs use these prices and negotiate other prices for us. They can also include a network of transparency. And this network of transparency would make it easier for large health corporations as well as other drug benefit managers and resisting these price increases, as well as getting the best prices. Second, the FDA currently only approves new prescription medications going into the market based on the safety and efficacy of public health. However, if they were to consider the prices after going into the market for that drug, as well as placing a capping of that max price that drug can go at, that would not only provide us with a benefit, but the FDA would play a major role overall in lowering our prices. And third, there should be federal guidelines for pricing increases in the pharmaceutical industries, because it is not fair for these pharmaceutical companies who are granted monopolies based on these drugs in form of a patent to be able to raise their prices whenever and however they want. It simply isn't feasible. Thus, we should not be surprised when we hear that our industry, the medical industry, is increasing at a faster rate than any other thing in pricing goes, as far as pricing goes. In short, Money Magazine even said that in between May 2015 to May 2016, medical prices increased 10%. Overall inflation, including goods and services, was just 1%. Just with these three steps in mind, America would have built on better goodwill and friendships. In fact, we would have built goodwill on the righteousness of what we truly stand for. Not only that, but we as a society would have built friendships within the medical industry as well as doctor-patient relationships. Together, if we lower pharmaceutical prices, it not will only benefit us, but it will build better friendships and be beneficial to all those concerned. If and only if the government is willing to take that step forward and talk to pharmaceutical companies and communicate with them why we need to lower our prices. In short, we have the capability of changing our modern day medical world. In fact, with the Rotary four-way step in mind, we as individuals in this society can redefine our modern day medical world as a whole. At the end of the day, the pharmaceuticals are doing the best they can to aid the public, but at what cost? Thank you.
All right, we'll give the judges just a second here, and then we'll have our final speaker. Hey, Devin, I was going to spot you. Would you mind tallying afterwards, before? You don't want me to, you don't want to do that? All right. Give us just 1 second. All right, that's enough. He looks done. Okay, so our final speaker today is Alex Gardner.
The war on drugs is something we've all heard of. We've been told it's to protect us from the dangers of drugs. So surely, it must pass the four-way test, right? The four-way test goes as follows. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Does it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? So, let's get into it. So, you were probably told that the war on drugs was started in order to stop drug usage. However, is that the truth? Well, only kind of. The war on drugs was officially started in June 1971 by President Richard Nixon. However, there are numerous acts far before then that could be considered part of the war on drugs. Things such as prohibition and the federal ban on cannabis. But let's look into the federal ban on cannabis. So, this started in 1931. According to Martin Booth's Cannabis History, Chapter 13, in the 1930s, after the end of Prohibition, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics was at high risk for losing funding unless they could find something else to ban. So in response, Chairman Harry Anslinger proposed banning cannabis. He got support to do this through starting a propaganda campaign based on the idea that cannabis makes minorities thirst for white blood. In a statement to Congress, he knowingly lied and said, marijuana is an addictive substance which in its users produces insanity, criminality, and death. Along with that, he also said reefer makes darkies think they're just as good as white men. These are two blatant lies, and he knew that. Next, the next big step in the war on drugs was the official start of it in June 1971. President Richard Nixon was advised to legalize cannabis since scientists in the 40s had proven it was essentially safe. However, Nixon decided not to. He claimed that drug use was public enemy number one, and that's why there needs to be a tough crackdown on them. But later on, quotes from one of his aides, John Ehrlichman, came out that may hint at there being something more suspicious going on. John Ehrlichman said, "We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be against the war of black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and the blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. We could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break down their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did." There are two clear examples on how the war on drugs was built on lies. Secondly, is it fair? Yet again, it may not be as fair as you originally thought. According to a study done by ACLU, despite smoking weed at approximately the same rate, black people are 3.75 times more likely to go to prison on marijuana charges than white people are. No matter what angle you look at this from, this isn't fair. Furthermore, the government didn't do anything to really try and stop this. In fact, they may have accidentally encouraged it in a controversial move pulled by the CIA in the 1980s. According to investigative journalist Gary Webb of Mercury News, it was discovered that the CIA was selling crack cocaine to low-income areas of California. In fact, Gary even won a Pulitzer Prize for his work, and the CIA today largely admits to their actions. so you know this isn't just some conspiracy theory. At its peak, the Washington Post estimates that the CIA was smuggling in over 100 kilos a week. We can see that this war was not fair because of these actions. Now, one thing the war on drugs definitely did do was build better friendships. That is, if you consider gang members to be friends. According to the rise of drug dealing, the life of the North American street gang, the rise in gang violence and gang formation is a direct consequence of the war on drugs. The way this happened goes something like this. Gangs use illicit drugs as a means of income. Other gangs see the profitability of this, and so they take the opportunity and get drugs as well. In an environment where law enforcement has been told that drug usage is public enemy number one, dealers cannot go to law enforcement to settle grievances. So in response, they just use violence to settle issues. The profitability of this industry attracts more young people to it, which perpetuates the cycle I just mentioned. The death tolls for this each year are over 15,000 people. That number has been steadily increasing since the start of the war on drugs. Now, remember how earlier I said that the CIA was selling crack to people? Well, it turns out the money they made from that was being used to fund the Nicaraguan Revolution, which resulted in the death of 50,000 people. Clearly, we can see that between all these deaths, this was not goodwill. Now finally, is the war on drugs beneficial to all concerned? Definitely not. But what if we put everything in the past aside and focus more on the present? I have huge respect for people in law enforcement. I think that they genuinely believe what they are doing is right, and that's great. But sometimes it doesn't work out the way it was intended. In 1998, the DARE program was defunded by the federal government because the American Psychological Association found that it simply didn't work. In fact, according to Time, the DARE program actually may increase the risk of drug usage in young people. This is definitely not beneficial. Now, furthermore, in 2018, 70,000 people died of heroin overdose in the US. This number is a number that has been steadily increasing since the start of the war on drugs. We can mostly attribute this to the formation of gangs which sell heroin. Now, there is a group that's definitely benefiting from the war on drugs. That is private prisons. Private prisons make very large sums of money off of the war. It is safe to say that the war on drugs does not pass the four-way test, and thus should either be heavily revised or ended entirely. Thank you.
Okay. The speakers have spoken. There's a lot less tension at this table now, which is good. If you wouldn't mind, judges, handing your, I'm going to help out. Handing your, did you already, no, you couldn't. Coming over here, we're spotting the judges. Y'all done? All right, excellent. Are there any more pancake announcements? Anything at all? Hey, Rodney's got one. Are you going to defend the name of your son-in-law?
There'll be a short pancake meeting after this meeting out near the fireplace somewhere out there. And also, don't forget to pick up your lawn signs.
Thank you, Rodney. Don't you have some perfect attendance awards to give out or something? Does he have an announcement?
Don't forget Pancake Days next Saturday. Get out your tickets. I don't know. You're going to have to talk to Drew about that. You can never trust those old Miss graduates. You want the mic now?
So, my young partner, Leah Vanderkroll, who I've brought here a couple times, every, let me find it, hold on. Every Thursday, she goes to a networking meeting, and she has made her calling card telling what she calls a dad joke. And then she texts it to me, and I text it to my son, and he curses me for texting him while he's in math class. He never replies. I would think you would guess. So I'm going to read dad jokes. I'm going to read dad jokes while Devin's doing his math. Are you ready? His judging's already done. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'll say, this is my son, Alexander Grumman. Xander Grumman. I didn't want to say who he was before because I wanted him to be judged without people knowing that. He is not eligible to win for obvious reasons, but he'll benefit from getting to be judged. And no, I didn't realize that I totally believe that. This is why I can't do undercover work. Yeah, all right, let's find out. All right. What salad topping can you find at Home Depot? A lot of smart people in this room. They've already got it. The two girls already got it. Did you already get it? No? Salad dressing at Home Depot? Salad topping, salad dressing. Ranch dressing. Ranch. Come on, not even a groan? These are supposed to be groan jokes. All right, here we go. There you go. There you go. Yeah, all right. All right, let's see. No, I don't like that one. What's that? All right, here we go. What is the UPS man's favorite sport? Boxing. There you go. You're doing this. Oh, I'm doing this. Okay. Got it? Okay. All right. We have the results. You want to hear more dad jokes? I think we have time. No? Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's bring up, let's do this in reverse order. They've written them by topic here, so I got to match them up with name. There it is. Okay. In third place, Rohan Gupta. Come on up, Rohan. We don't have a giant check, so how about you stand right there? Excellent. Thank you, Rohan. Excellent job. Say again? Trust us for the... yeah, you'll have to trust us for the money. Can I PayPal you? I'm good at that. I can PayPal you. What's that? All right. In second place, on the topic of mass incarceration, Anna Sullivan. Come on up, Anna. Congratulations. All right. And since we know that my son is not eligible, I think most of these smart people have figured out that our winner, just to make me say the name one more time, is Neha. Congratulations, Neha. All right. So, are there anything else? I'm going to hand this back to you. And just so my son can stand up here. Xander, come stand up here. All right.
Oh, thank God Charles is done. Okay, I want to thank all our speakers for speaking today and coming. Wonderful job by all of you. Larry, do we have any special requirements, or are all the tables and chairs going back today? If you would help us and put back all the tables and chairs. Those of you that are on the scholarship committee, after we're done with that, there's a scholarship committee meeting. Those of you that are on the BRCCF committee, there's a BRCCF committee meeting right after this. If there is nothing else for the good of Rotary, we are adjourned. Pancake Day next Saturday.